This conference will now be recorded.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hello. Um, so I am Dr. Pawan Kumar, Associate Professor in Department of Psychiatry. మన వీడియో మన పక్కన కనిపించడానికి ఉండదా? ఓకే ఓకే. అంటే నేను కనిపిస్తున్నానా లేదా అన్నది. కనిపిస్తుంది. So today I will be dealing about neurotic disorders. Okay. So previous classes we have discussed about the differences between psychosis and neurosis. Okay, psychosis mainly the difference is based on reality testing. So whether the stimulus is real or not. So in case of psychotic disorders, the reality testing is absent, whereas in case of neurotic disorders, the reality testing is present. Okay. So and we already discussed about the presence of four psychotic symptoms. Okay, hallucinations, delusions, disorganized speech, and disorganized behavior. So these four are the psychotic symptoms which are present in psychotic disorders. Okay. So neurotic disorders, usually neurotic disorders, they don't have psychotic symptoms. Okay. So neurotic disorders includes mostly anxiety disorders. So before going into the detail of anxiety disorders, we'll discuss about what is meant by anxiety. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So coming to anxiety. So anxiety is a normal phenomenon, worry. So we always will be worrying. So now this is the period of worrying because of coronavirus. Okay, whether we will get or not, our family members will be getting or not. So this is a normal anxiety. Okay. So we should first know the differences between what is anxiety, what is fear, okay, what is phobia. Okay, so there are conceptual differences between anxiety, phobia and fear. Okay, so any person can feel anxious at a specific different situations or a specific situation. Okay, so but there is a difference between anxiety and fear. Okay, so we will feel fear when the stimulus is known. For example, we will feel fear when we are walking alone in the night when nobody is there. Okay, uh, we will be having fear if we are attending OPDs, attending the patients that we may get coronavirus through them. Okay, that is fear. Here we know the definitely the stimulus. Okay, if we are directly going to a patient having coronavirus, we will be having fear that I may get the virus. Okay, so that is fear. So when the stimulus is or when the response to a known external definitive definitive stimulus with no conflict, whether the so there is a definite stimulus is there. So if the stimulus is not definite, we don't know. Okay, we are seeing patients, we don't know whether the patient is asymptomatic patient, the patient may be having coronavirus, then we will be having some unpleasant sensation. So that the patient may be having asymptomatic coronavirus and we may get. So here the stimulus is not exact. So it's a vague, non-specific. So then that will be known as anxiety. Okay. So for example, you people has been called to the principal room. You will be staying outside the principal room. So what you will be feeling, either fear or anxiety. So you may be feeling anxiety because anxiety, we don't know whether why principal has called, whether he has called to praise you or whether he has called to scold you. So because of vague internal, okay, unknown threat, you will be feeling anxiety. Okay, so now you understand the difference between anxiety and, okay, fear. Okay, if the fear is excessive, uncontrollable, okay, which leads to avoidance of that situation, then it is known as phobia. Okay, if the anxiety is excessive, uncontrollable, and affecting the person in day-to-day life, then it will become pathological anxiety. Otherwise it will be a normal anxiety. Okay, so normal anxiety becomes pathological when it is persistent and causes significant distress and impaired functioning of day-to-day life. Okay, then we will call it as a disorder, anxiety disorder. So otherwise, if the it is not pathological, we will call it as normal anxiety. Okay. So what are the signs of anxiety? So these signs and symptoms will also be there when we are having normal anxiety. So in the form of physical symptoms. Okay. So physical symptoms can be somatic. So that means occurring on the body. The person will be restless. He can't sit at one place. He will be continually fidgeting or continuously walking to and fro. The person will have muscle twitches. Okay. And sometimes there will be uh, contraction of the muscles, which will lead to muscle tension. So there will be chest tightness. Okay, and very very important, startle response, ulikkipadam. Okay, and there will be tension headaches. So most of these symptoms occurs because the immediate anxiety in the mind will be shown immediately to the muscles on the body, which causes partial contraction of the muscles, which causes muscle tension, chest tightness, headaches, tension headaches. Okay, and when severe, there will be startle responses. Okay, and there will be, so coming to autonomic nervous system, visual nervous system, there will be autonomic symptoms like very important is palpitations, tremors of hand, sweating, okay, flushes, hot flushes, dyspnea, breathlessness, hunger of breath, okay, dry mouth, okay, there will sometimes there will be mydriasis. So sometimes there will be GI symptoms, very very important. The person will have some bloating sensation or gastritis, or sometimes the person will have frequent passage of stools, mostly frequent passage of urine, nausea, okay, urinary frequency and hesitancy, okay, dizziness, hypotension feeling, hyperventilation, and the person feels the extremities are cold and clammy. Okay, so these are the physical symptoms. So coming to psychological symptoms, so most of the patients of during adolescence and during before the exams, okay, young adults, they will come that they are doctor, I am not able to concentrate on my studies. Okay, so if you go on to take the history, you will find that the difficulty in concentration is because of the anxiety present because of exams. Okay, so there will be cognitive symptoms of poor concentration, which will lead to distractible. They can't concentrate on the reading for a continuous time, and the person will be getting negative automatic thoughts that he will fail in the exams. Okay, so this is associated with mood symptoms like fearfulness. So because of which the person will get frustrated, which will shown as an irritability on the other person's, apprehension that something bad is going to happen in the near future, or some impending doom, some bad will be happening in the near future. And the person will develop vigilance, so he will be concentrating on specific things, whether some danger is happening. And very very important, sometimes if you are so much tensed or if you are so much anxious, you will feel derealized, depersonalized. So as such, you feel that you yourself are different from you. Okay, you will feel your atma is in front of you, and your body is separate. Okay, your mind and body are separate, or the surroundings have been detached from you. Okay, so those type of feelings are known as derealization or depersonalization, as if phenomenon we call it, as if your body or your mind or your soul, or as if the surroundings are detached from you. There is no direct contact from you. Okay, and there will be sleep disturbances with unnecessary excessive dreams and all. Okay, so these are the various symptoms and signs of anxiety. So coming to anxiety disorders, if this is the very most common question asked in the entrance exam. So most common type of psychiatric disorder, if it is given, so anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, like that, if it is given, you have to put anxiety disorders. Okay. If phobia is given, phobia is the most, but in phobia also there will be many types of phobia will be there. So phobia is the most common of all the anxiety disorders. If specifically a specific disorder is given, okay, of all common psychiatric disorders, we can consider major depression as the most common psychiatric disorder, if specifically. But in general, anxiety disorders are the most common. Of anxiety disorders, phobias are the most common. So we already discussed it, anxiety disorders are neurotic disorders with intact reality testing. So there will be insight. So insight means, so that is the reality testing, whether the person feels that he is having problem, or the person feels that his symptoms are real. Okay, so that will be there because of presence of insight, that the person is I am having some problem with my anxiety, I am having some problem with my thoughts. Okay, so that is insight. So he goes and visits the psychiatrist or a doctor to get it checked. So that is known as insight. So a person with neurotic disorders will have generally insight, okay, which will be differentiating from psychosis, and it will cause subjective distress. Okay, so among the important types of anxiety disorders, generalized anxiety disorder. So by name itself, we can see the anxiety is generalized. It is not specific to a single situation. So the anxiety will be present during most of the conditions, during day-to-day conditions. So even feeling anxiety for coming to the class. Okay, so whether I can hear the class or not, whether I will be there by 2 o'clock and I will be presenting the topic. So in that way, every day, day-to-day life events also, the patient will be feeling tensed, out of edge feeling. Okay, at the edge feeling. Okay, so that is known as generalized anxiety disorder. Okay, so it is a form of pathological form which will be persistent for more than 6 months. Okay, not really restricted to a specific event or a particular circumstance. So we also call it as free floating anxiety. So to everyday situations. Okay, so most of the time when we ask what are you feeling, what is there in your mind, they will say that I am feeling that something bad is going to happen in the near future. Okay, something will happen if I don't go in time. Something will happen if I haven't taken proper measures. Okay, so for everything, the person will be having free floating anxiety. Okay, so while going out, that accident may happen. Okay, so most commonly seen in females, and it is persistent for greater than, the duration is 6 months. Okay, and it will be persistent and it will run a chronic course if it is not treated, even though it may reduce in severity. Okay, but if during at times like this corona season, it may exacerbate. Okay, so there will be remissions and exacerbations and running a chronic course if unless treated. Okay, and it will be associated with many other comorbidities, many other psychiatric comorbidities like depression, other type of phobias, panic disorders, and even with chronic disorders like diabetes, hypertension, and osteoarthritis. Okay, so coming to diagnostic criteria, so for any psychiatric disorder, you have to remember the inclusion criteria, the exclusion criteria, and the duration criteria. So we already discussed the duration criteria for generalized anxiety disorder is 6 months. So and the inclusion criteria we will discuss. So the inclusion criteria includes, number one is apprehension. Okay, this is according to ICD classification. So apprehension means something bad is going to happen in the near future. Okay, so worrying about future misfortunes, feeling continuously feeling on edge feeling. Okay, so even though the content of apprehension, we always sometimes feel whether we will log into the class within time or not. That apprehension will be there. Okay, so that content is the same, but the quantity, so the frequency and the controllability is uncontrolled in case of anxiety disorder. Okay, so the content is not different from that of seen in persons with normal anxiety or without GAD. The frequency and uncontrollability and excessiveness will cause the main problem. So it will also leads to motor tension. Okay, so I already told that the psychological symptoms of anxiety will be mainly seen on the muscles. Okay, so there will be tension headaches, tension muscle aches, muscle twitches, and there will be somatic symptoms in the form of restlessness, fidgeting, inability to relax, and autonomic symptoms in the form of palpitations, lightheadedness, dizziness, sweating, tachycardia, hyperventilation, difficulty breathing, dry mouth, frequent urination, frequent passage of stools. So these are the various autonomic overactivity symptoms, okay, and associated with sleep problems. In case of children, the symptoms will be so they, because their cognition, their way of thinking even is not properly developed, so they feel anxiety, that they frequently show their anxiety in the form of somatic symptoms, having a stomach ache, or having nausea feeling, or body aches, or frequently reassuring that nothing is going to happen, or nothing is going to happen to the parents. So these type of symptoms are seen in case of children if the child is having anxiety disorder. So these are the diagnostic criteria. Okay, you can remember the diagnostic criteria by the mnemonic. Okay, so 3 out of 6 according to DSM should be there. So by the mnemonic watchers, okay, the person will be having worry, anxiety, tension in muscles, concentration difficulties. The person will be vigilant, hyperarousal, leading to irritability, energy loss, restlessness, and sleep disturbances. So out of these, if 3 are there for 6 months, okay, we can say that the person is having, okay, generalized anxiety disorder. So this is the duration criteria is 6 months. The inclusion or the diagnostic criteria we already discussed. So then exclusion criteria. So we'll discuss, okay, based upon differential diagnosis, because some of these symptoms will occur in other type of psychiatric disorders, other type of substance related disorders, and medical disorders. So we also have to rule out other some of the symptoms caused by other disorders before diagnosing a patient as generalized anxiety disorder. So the some of the symptoms can also be there in panic disorder, okay, agoraphobia, which we'll discuss later, post traumatic stress disorder, social anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, dysthymia, and somatoform disorders. And in case of substance related disorders, alcohol withdrawal, okay, we already discussed the substance dependence, benzodiazepine withdrawal. So we already discussed stimulants. So stimulants, cannabis, caffeine, or hallucinogens, all these act on the body by stimulating the autonomic nervous system, okay, sympathetic nervous system. So because of which the person will develop anxiety symptoms because of intoxication. Okay, so alcohol and benzodiazepines, they are CNS suppressants. Okay, so that's why during their withdrawal they will have anxiety symptoms, whereas the stimulants like caffeine and cocaine, amphetamines, these are CNS stimulants. So they act by activating sympathetic nervous system, because of which the person will have anxiety symptoms during their intoxication. And specifically hallucinogens like LSD. So they will produce even anxiety symptoms, even though the person is not intoxicated at that time. So those are known as bad trips. Okay. So coming to differential diagnosis of generalized anxiety disorder versus other psychiatric disorders. So in case of generalized anxiety disorder, the anxiety is free floating. Okay, but in case of social phobia, okay, So social phobia will be there whenever, so for example, most of us will be having some form of anxiety when we are first time presenting our seminar in second year or third year. Okay, so we will be feeling that everyone is looking at us, everyone will be evaluating whether we are properly telling on that. So because of that feeling, the person will develop some anxiety, that is known as a social phobia. Okay, the person avoids those situations where there will be gathering of very small number of people. Okay, so panic disorder we will discuss. Panic disorder is the presence of multiple panic attacks. So panic attack is a sudden onset of abrupt, very severe anxiety associated with severe autonomic symptoms, with the impending that something bad is going to happen, heart attack is going to come, or I am going to die. So because of which the patient immediately rushes to the cardiologist or casualty. So very severe abrupt anxiety will be there in case of panic attack. So presence of those panic attacks is known as panic disorder. So in case of generalized anxiety disorder, that much severe anxiety won't be there and it will be continuous. So in case of panic disorder, it will be like episodic. Okay, and mostly autonomic arousal will be there in case of panic attacks, whereas mostly motor somatic symptoms will be there in case of generalized anxiety disorder. Okay, and very important to differentiate from obsessive compulsive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. So you can see, okay, so for example, we will have normal anxiety of coronavirus and we will frequently keep social distancing and we will be keep frequently washing our hands and we will put the mask. So that is a normal behavior because there is a specific situation of corona and we are acting out of it. But so even though there is no such situation, okay, so even though the person is staying in a green zone or person in a staying in the house with no history of exposure, but the person is feeling senseless anxiety. Okay, that that I may get coronavirus even though I stay in the house, and frequently he goes and washes. Okay, so then that will be become a senseless washing. So then that will become obsessive compulsive. That means washing has become a obsession for him. So there is no rational of washing. Okay, so but at this situation there is some rational, so there may be chance that we may get exposure to coronavirus patients or we may have touched the fomites, so we go. That is a normal anxiety. Okay, so that is useful, but sometimes even though that condition is also not there, but something and frequently washing, that is known as obsession. So the important is rationality, whether there is or sense. Okay, so it is rational or irrational. If it is rational, it will become an anxiety problem. If it is irrational, it will become a obsessive compulsive problem. Okay, and anxiety symptoms occur along with the depression, and some of the symptoms are also present in depression, which I will show in the figure. Okay, so if you see that, so the depressive mood, anhedonia, appetite disturbances, these are specific depressive symptoms. Okay, and whereas muscle tensions, autonomic symptoms, worrying, these are specific anxiety symptoms. But there is some overlap of sleep disturbances, agitation, difficulty concentration, so irritability. So these symptoms overlap, they overlap both in the depression as well as in the anxiety. So we have to take whether to diagnose depression or anxiety, because to some extent the treatment will be varying. So we have to take all the associated symptoms also. Okay, so if the person comes with sleep disturbances, then we have to investigate whether the sleep disturbance is because of anxiety problem or because of depression. So we have to ask for associated symptoms. Okay, so very important, this anxiety can also be present as a result of underlying medical problem. So very important, hypoglycemia. Okay, so in case of diabetes, if the person is developing hypoglycemia, there will be activation of sympathetic nervous system, which will be present as anxiety. Okay, and hyperthyroidism. Okay, there also there will be activation of sympathetic nervous system. So cardiac arrhythmias, which will cause palpitations similar to that of anxiety, and mitral valve prolapse syndrome. So most of the time, mitral valve prolapse syndrome is either comorbid or itself present as a anxiety. So that's why sometimes, most of the times, when a person comes with anxiety, we will always ask for ECG, okay, and Cushing's syndrome, okay, because of excessive steroids, okay, in the body, carcinoid syndrome, because of excessive serotonin, which will lead to anxiety symptoms, pheochromocytoma, because of excessive catecholamines, okay, or externally taking adrenergic sympathetic agents like adrenergic agonists, theophylline, or externally taking steroids. So all these can cause symptoms which are mimicking the generalized anxiety. So when we have to think whether this is a psychological anxiety problem or whether these anxiety symptoms has come because of underlying medical problem. So if the autonomic symptoms are predominating compared to the psychological or cognitive symptoms of worry and motor symptoms, then we have to think of whether there is cardiac or thyroid symptoms, okay, irregular pulse, markedly elevated blood pressure, intermittent episodes of anxiety, okay, and relation to drug use like insulin. So the person has taken insulin without taking food, okay, there will be insulin overdose, okay, or oral hypoglycemics, so maybe excess overdose, okay, or not taking meals properly in case of diabetic patients, or atypical symptoms like flushing, so which can occur in pheochromocytoma, okay, or in hypoglycemia, okay, or in menopause. So all these are towards more of a organic city or some medical problem. So coming to laboratory investigations, so I already told the generalized anxiety disorder may be comorbid with other cardiac conditions, or it is a result of underlying cardiac conditions or other other medical conditions. So, or because of a substance use. So we have to investigate to rule out any underlying problems by using ECG. Okay, whether it is because of diabetes, hypoglycemia, we have to do the fasting postprandial and random blood sugars, HbA1c, thyroid function tests to rule out hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, because hypothyroidism sometimes itself can result in generalized anxiety disorder. Other hormonal assays to rule out pheochromocytoma, okay, etc. Okay, so these tests are based upon clinical picture rather than routine indications. So, but most of the time, these anxiety disorders patients will be going to the primary care physicians, okay, or general physicians. So where they will be doing some common errors, which will be, so they say that this is a normal type of anxiety, and they will give benzodiazepines for that. So they don't think that this is a proper psychiatric disorder known as generalized anxiety disorder and it needs treatment by a psychiatrist. So, and they will treat by themselves with a lower doses or benzodiazepines, which may themselves cause addiction to them. Okay, so routinely treating any symptom of anxiety with benzodiazepines. Okay, not screening for disorder if a person is having only anxiety symptoms or wake complaints. Okay, not taking a drug or substance history in case of alcohol, because alcohol or benzodiazepine withdrawal or other stimulants can cause intoxication cause anxiety symptoms. So, and many of the times they say that these anxiety symptoms have come because of some life event, because of failure in the exam or because of the corona situation, and they neglect that the person is having some genetic disorder in the form of generalized anxiety disorder, so they don't take it. Okay, so because even generalized anxiety disorder is also like any other diabetes or hypertension runs in the families, and it will be precipitated in case of environmental circumstances like a specific live events. Okay, but should not to take it is only happened because of the life event. There is a genetic probability that a specific person will develop to generalized anxiety disorder, because so many persons will be exposing to a specific life event, but not every person will be developing anxiety disorder, only those who are having that liability. So in the previous classes we have discussed that genetic liability. Okay, so if the genetic liability is there, when the environmental life event precipitates, then the person will develop the generalized anxiety disorder. Okay, so sometimes only anxiety will be treated, leaving behind the other types of depression and somatoform disorders. So coming to treatment, so benzodiazepines are the drug of choice. If the anxiety is transient, okay, if it is not affecting day-to-day life in a significant manner, so then we can give benzodiazepines for a shorter duration, okay. So should not be prescribed benzodiazepines beyond 4 to 6 weeks, because beyond 4 to 6 weeks there will be high chances of the patient developing the dependence. And if at all, if you have to prescribe, you have to prescribe long acting. So long acting like clonazepam, okay, and diazepam, chlordiazepoxide, okay. These are the benzodiazepines with a long action, with a long duration of action, or T half. So which causes less chance of patient developing the dependence, okay. So they will be both useful as a anxiety relief as well as insomnia. So you know that there are 5 properties for benzodiazepines. One is sedative hypnotic property, which will help in sleep; anxiolytic property, which will help in anxiolysis in case of anxiety disorders. So anti-seizure activity, anti-convulsant activity, which will help in the seizure disorder, okay, epilepsy. And some benzodiazepines in higher doses will produce amnesia, so it will help in anesthesia, okay. So and some would, will have muscle relaxation, okay, so which will help in that also in skeletal muscle relaxation in case of generalized anesthesia, or some other type of GABA A receptors like baclofen, which also causes muscle relaxation. So these are benzodiazepines. So by acting as a CNS depressants, acting through GABA, so GABA B receptors, they will be acting on different, they will be helping in anxiolytic, or they will be helping in hypnosis, that is sleep. So now, for example, if you take Z drugs like the zolpidem, zopiclone, so they have predominant only hypnotic action, so very less anxiolytic action. So if a person says that I am having only problem with insomnia, better give Z drugs, okay. So if the person wants daytime anxiolytic, that means his day-to-day work, because these benzodiazepines are CNS suppressants, we should ask them to avoid driving or operating a machinery after taking benzodiazepines. But recently, the non-sedative benzodiazepine by name tofisopam, okay, so it is a newer type of benzodiazepine has come, which will help in anxiolysis without causing much sedation, okay. So that can be prescribed during the daytime, okay. So short acting, comparatively alprazolam, alprazolam is intermediate acting, can be given to some patients. Lorazepam is a short acting, so generally avoidant. If at all it should be given when there is severe liver impairment, because it is a direct metabolite which doesn't need liver for its biotransformation, okay. So the choice and the type of dose and till what time depend upon the age of the patient, target symptoms, and the presence of comorbid liver dysfunction, okay. So before prescribing benzodiazepines, better to see the liver function, okay. So always there is a risk of dependence, so better to give long acting and for a shorter duration of time. So coming to other drugs like serotonin 1A partial agonist, that is buspirone, okay. So even though buspirone, the disadvantage is it will take time for its action, okay, because it acts on the serotonin, okay. So at least 3 to 4 weeks are needed for its action, but it is a very good anxiolytic, okay. 30 to 45 milligrams per day in 3 doses, okay, can be given, okay. But it doesn't have sedative or hypnotic action, but less efficacious than SSRIs and SNRIs. So very important mode of choice is SSRIs, okay. So SSRIs, so if you take this, why this generalized anxiety is happen, because of decrease in the amount of serotonin neurotransmitter in the brain. So that's why in order to increase the serotonin, we are giving the SSRIs, okay. So SSRIs like escitalopram, sertraline, citalopram, paroxetine, fluoxetine, newer SSRIs like vilazodone, okay, vortioxetine. So these are the various SSRIs, okay. So but they take 10 days to 2 weeks for their action. So till that time, we can give benzodiazepines, which will act immediately. So once the SSRIs start acting, we can gradually taper the benzodiazepines and stop. But these SSRIs and SNRIs, you should continue at least for 3 to 6 months. Okay. So SNRIs can also be used. Okay. So TCS, SNRIs like duloxetine, milnacipran, okay, venlafaxine, desvenlafaxine, TCS like imipramine, amitriptyline, and very important beta blockers. So beta blockers, because of they are sympathetolytic, so they will be useful for anxiety. Beta blockers like propranolol, metoprolol, okay, atenolol, they can be used. Okay, even anticonvulsants with GABAergic property like gabapentin, pregabalin, valproate, oxcarbazepine, these also can also be used. Okay, then coming to, these are the pharmacological therapies. Okay, so all those drugs which act on GABA, okay, can be used. Even the drugs which act on histamine, sedative antihistaminics like first generation antihistaminics can also be used. So uh, sedating Finargan, okay, diphenhydramine, okay, promethazine. So these are the drugs that can also be used in case of anxiety disorders. Okay. Then coming to non-pharmacological techniques like psychological techniques, relaxation techniques. So advising the person to do deep breathing exercises, okay, with taking deep inhalation and slowly exhaling, and Jacobson progressive muscle relaxation. So that is a stepwise procedure where the person is asked to mindfully watch the both the contraction and relaxation of muscles from top to bottom. Okay, so that is known as Jacobson progressive muscle relaxation. Jacobson is the scientist who proposed it, and progressive from top to bottom muscle relaxation. And biofeedback. So in biofeedback, the person will be connected to a machine, biofeedback machine, where his heart rate, his respiratory rate, his galvanic skin response, okay, his EEG will be reflecting on the machine. So when there is the person is feeling anxious, the heart rate will be increasing, the respiratory rate will be increasing, and the person is asked to relax, okay, by saying words or by seeing some relaxing pictures. So with that, the heart rate and respiratory rate which is seen on the machine will come down. So it is giving, the machine is giving the feedback of internal procedures which are representative of internal anxiety. And cognitive therapy. So cognitive therapy includes cognitive restructuring. So okay, so for example, if a person is having a negative automatic thought that I will get corona, so what we will say that, so since you don't have comorbidities, there will be 95% out of 100 people, 95 people won't get corona, only 5 people are. So those also with severe comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, they will be, so they will be getting the complications. So like that, we will be, instead of having the negative thoughts that I will get corona, the person will be giving the positive thoughts, replacing with the positive thoughts. That is known as a thought restructuring or cognitive restructuring, which will reduce the anxiety. And advise to avoid the harmful substances like alcohol, smoking, and caffeine. Okay, so caffeine sometimes will cause, because it is a CNS stimulant, it will cause anxiety. Even though it causes alertness, sometimes it will cause severe anxiety. So cognitive techniques we will be discussion, because in cognitive techniques the important principle is our fear or our emotions will mainly depend upon how we think, what the thoughts that are present. So by replacing those negative thoughts by a positive thoughts, we will be doing the cognitive therapy. So it is misinterpretation of events as threatening. So uh, by seeing a belt, the person may be feeling as a snake. Okay, we call it as illusion, but that is misinterpretation. So the person will gradually interpret it as a normal belt, and the person will feel normal. Okay, so these are the various, and fear will be lowered by self relaxation methods. Okay, or thought diary. So we will ask to what are the thoughts which causes anxiety. We will ask to at what time you have got the thought, and what situation has made you develop this anxiety. We'll ask to write the day-to-day diary. Cognitive restructuring and other behavioral techniques like deep breathing, JPMR, we can be doing. Okay, so this is all about generalized anxiety disorder. So next class we will be discussing about panic attacks and panic disorder. So any doubts? Okay, if no doubts, shall we end the class?
Yes, sir.
Is it shall I went fast or is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. So any doubts you can ask in the next class. Okay. So again, attendance has to be taken. One minute, I will call the person.